Have you noticed that plastic wrap just doesn't stick like it used to? Now, it only sticks to itself. Now, depending on the material, plastic wrap either does a great job or has a difficult time sticking. Sometimes when I'm baking, it'll depend if it's oily or buttery around the rim. One trick I wanna try, if you add a little moisture, does that help the plastic stick or not? So I have a wet paper towel, and I'm just going to run that around the edge. So it wasn't sticking before, and now we're gonna put it on. It seems like a little moisture helps. If you get a wet paper towel or a wet kitchen towel, just wipe it around the exterior of the bowl. That little bit of moisture helps that plastic wrap cling a little tighter. That is so bizarre that it did it like that. Because before it just was like sitting loose on there, but a little moisture did help. Now that it's dry again, it's not really sticking anymore. For that initial contact, it acts as a little bit of glue and keeps it nice and tight on there. Oh, not too bad. Now, typically you're using plastic wrap with a glass bowl. Let's see if the same piece works. So that does pretty well. Could have put it on there a little tighter. And sometimes a fresh piece definitely sticks better. Now, was there a right side and a wrong side? You know how foil has a dull side and a shiny side? There's been back and forth on what side you're supposed to use. Both are the same when it comes to foil, but we're talking about plastic wrap here. And I think both sides work and act just the same. Now, the one thing that is different is if you're using press and seal, that does have a sticky side and a non-sticky side. I set myself up for failure. This was not pre-opened. One thing you wanna make sure you do when you get a brand new box of any kind of wrap, make sure you open it correctly, make sure you don't damage the box. That's what helps you tear it nicely. So if you damage the box, you're gonna have a lot of trouble ripping and tearing. Check the sides. Sometimes there's a little indent you push in to keep the roll in place. This press and seal seems good to go. And then always hold firmly where you're gonna tear. And we're gonna place that on there, make it tight. This is why they made press and seal. This stuff, I go to this on occasion. I try not to use a lot of it, but when I do need it, press and seal tends to work best. But yes, there is a sticky and a non-sticky side. The back side is completely useless. You wanna use the sticky side for sure. And if you're covering something large, like a casserole dish, I usually start it on the casserole dish and then pull it over so it held tight, and then I'll go ahead and rip it. That wasn't elegant, but you get the point. Now I like to pull it tight around the sides, get one side locked in, rotate it, and then do the other side. A nice tight seal, and then just for extra, go around that rim so it's nice and sealed. Yeah, that's a tight seal. You can even stack some. Not that you probably wouldn't recommend doing this, but kind of creates its own lid. We tried the cling wrap with a little water if you're having any issues getting it to stick. This is the traditional cling and seal. Did they change the name? Is this Mandela? It's called cling wrap, not cling and seal. I have another box in here. See? Cling wrap. See, it's not a Mandela thing. Are these different products? Or did they just update the name? So this is the cling and seal. And then let's see what the cling wrap. No, they're the same. I think it just was like a brand refresh, a marketing redo. I prefer the press and seal. It's just a good go-to, and because it has that stickiness on it, usually works on a variety of different materials, glass, metal, whatnot in the kitchen. And then I like that they say it's leak-proof, airtight, and I've also seen tricks where you can turn this into a little packet, so you can just use the press and seal itself to seal up food. So like wrapping a sandwich or wrapping up leftovers, kind of like this photo. So if you haven't tried press and seal or you don't have press and seal at home, I would definitely give it a try. Plastic wrap is a good go-to, but the press and seal seems to be a little bit more versatile for most kitchen uses. I also want to try out some other brands. This is Reynolds version. This box is actually kind of nice. It has a slider, which is a nice touch. They one-upped the game. Okay, this one's already locked in. Oh, you just have to rotate it. There it is. But this has a nifty slider. Ooh, that was pretty good. This feels a little different than the Glad product. So I'm gonna stretch it out. It's a lot more clear. The slider mechanism is handy. Oh, if I do it correctly. It doesn't stick to itself as much. Okay, Reynolds kitchen wrap, I see you. This is sticking quite nicely. Then let's go to the plastic bowl and see what it does. Same deal, still not sticking very well to plastic. Now, try to wet this. Now let's see if this sticks. The water trick, bizarrely enough, does do something. It's so crazy. Maybe that's the thing we learned today. The real trick is just a little wet paper towel, rub it around. Your plastic wrap will stick to plastic a little bit better. This is still not perfect, but hey, a lot better. Let's try the press and seal on the plastic. Same technique. Yeah, this stuff clings great. Ship this to Matthew McConaughey. He can practice the bongos on it. Now this is just the generic store brand of plastic. See how this does. Still has the sticker on it, but we're gonna try it. This works about the same. It's probably a little thinner. Usually the store brands are, you know, cheaper in quality a little bit, but you know, this seems to be just as good as the other plastic wraps. I will say the Reynolds box is a lot nicer with that slider to cut. This has a very sharp blade on it though, so be careful with that. Let's get this one nice and tightly sealed all around, tuck it down. So it is sealing pretty well. A lot stretchier than the press and seal. Press and seal is gonna be stronger and stickier. This is the one I wanted to give a little test drive. It's compostable cling wrap. Home compostable, plastic free, food safe, BPA free. What are you made of? It's probably, you know, it's always like cellulose or like some kind of plant fiber jelly. It doesn't say what it's made out of, but this is compostable plastic wrap. Now let me find the end here. And interesting enough, this doesn't have like a sharp edge to cut it. Ooh, it's very, very thin. Like it's ripping just trying to get it out of the package. But it's supposed to be an environmentally friendly option, but looks like plastic. It's very thin. The packaging is very sustainable because it's just cardboard. I think the cardboard scalloped edge is supposed to puncture it and rip it, but it's a little difficult. No plastic in this packaging, it's just cardboard. So the whole thing's recyclable, but it's very sticky. Whatever this is made out of is super sticky. So if you want a more sustainable option, look for compostable, plastic-free cling wrap. There are alternatives out there. So even for the press and seal or the cling wrap, if you're trying to reduce waste, you don't like plastic in your home or around your food, you know, that's sometimes a concern. Maybe look for an option like this. It is very, very sticky, but it is very thin and fragile. So that's the other thing there. You just want to use this to maybe just like loosely cover things. Maybe if you're proofing some bread or just need to lightly cover something just to keep bugs off of it or keep the air out for a little bit. I wouldn't use it for long-term food storage. I would use it as a quick way to cover up food. I'm gonna test it with the plastic. Is a little tricky to work with, but it is very, very sticky. It said keeps food fresh, so maybe it is meant for refrigerator storage. There's a learning curve to working with this stuff, but I'm feeling less guilty about wasting it since it's compost. I'm gonna put it in my compost. But I would use it where, take it out and then maybe use a pair of scissors cut through it. But look at this, no problem. It is sticking to plastic. So it's much stickier than the regular plastic wrap. It's somewhere in between plastic wrap and press and seal, but it is very thin and fragile. So that's the only thing to look out for. If you pull it too tight or put too much pressure on it, it's just gonna dissolve. No, absolutely not. Do not eat it. Compostable doesn't mean edible. If you want to ditch these single-use options altogether, let me show you some better alternatives. I'm not gonna waste these, by the way. The quintessential, you like throw the paperwork and you're like, oh, I need those. You can look for silicone cover sets. These are probably gonna be the most universal option. They come in a ton of sizes to fit a variety of bowls and containers. You can even do square containers if they're not super large. But these are pretty jelly, pretty sticky, and you'll just cover your bowl with it and pull tight. And these also are great for a variety of materials as well, because they use tension more so than stickiness to stay on your bowl or container. Oh yeah, this stuff is stretchy. Reminds me of Stretch Armstrong. And silicone's gonna be a great alternative. They have these little pull tabs to help you stretch it across and also remove it. How did this turn into a little like impromptu kitchen orchestra? I love those videos. It's like high school bands and it's like the one kid who has the one note in the whole entire song. They're like waiting, and then these silicone options are great because they're so easy to use, wash, and really compact and storable. I mean, you could tuck these in a little corner, a little drawer, put these in a container all their own. You can find these in a variety of colors and styles. I like that this one has a cute little happy face on there. Happy guy, happy life. So they feel a little weird, but they're really versatile and really functional. If you don't like silicone, there are also cloth options available. These are proofing covers. They're meant to allow airflow. So if you don't want airflow, they have a version that are sealed with beeswax, so air doesn't flow through as much. But these are great options, just a little bit of elastic and fabric. These work as really great quick food covers, just like that. The great thing about these covers, machine washable. So you'll just throw this in the laundry with your other kitchen towels and kitchen linens. Another really interesting option is beeswax paper. So this is an alternative to traditional plastic wrap. It's just fabric coated in beeswax. You can hand wash these. The thing to know with these, they're a very interesting texture. They feel like they're gonna melt. They feel like they're somewhere between a liquid and a solid. Once you get used to it, these are really sticky, really effective food covers. And you can use these themselves to cover food. So you can, same thing, you can put a sandwich in here, wrap it up. They're really versatile. You don't need to use it to cover a bowl. They stick to itself. So same thing, got a bowl here. Just gonna put this over the top and you'll form the beeswax paper around it and just kind of is sticky. Not a great musical sound with this because it's very stretchy, very sticky. So there you go. You can cover just about anything with these. They do leave a little bit of residue, so you'll have to clean it up. These can be an effective, reusable, sustainable kitchen option. And let me tell you, every time I've run across these in stores or online, they're always funky. Funky colors, funky patterns. These are actually a great replacement for Ziploc. As long as it's not liquid, you can just wrap food directly in these. If a lot of your food prep is in bowls, I recommend just going with a good set of these silicone covers. They're gonna give you the most versatility. They're gonna be the easiest to clean, and it's nice that they're sustainable, reusable. They do kind of look funky. You will have to find a space to store these, but it doesn't take up a lot of room. Imagine if you had a couple boxes of press and seal and cling wrap. This takes up just about the same amount of space as one of those rolls, and you get a lot of versatility here. Because these are silicone, they're also gonna be good with a variety of temperatures, hot and cold. Wouldn't necessarily cook with these, but if you're covering something hot, you don't really need to worry about it. If you're covering something cold or throwing something in the freezer, you don't have to worry about them. And if you're going for a certain style in your kitchen, cloth covers are definitely nice to have as well. If you have salads or containers at a picnic or outside eating a meal, these are gonna be great covers to quickly cover your food, and you can match them to your style and aesthetic. Don't get stuck with plastic that doesn't stick. Choose an option that's gonna work for you.